So today I'm back out here on the Corral project and I am boarding up the side of our loading chute. So I'm putting 2x8 lumber on here. I'm just attaching it with screws at first and then I'm nailing it down with 4-inch ring shank nails afterwards. And I'll tell you, swinging a hammer like that, nailing those things in, it'll make your muscles swell up. Makes you feel like you're like Hulk Hogan. That's definitely showing my age. Maybe The Rock, right? Dwayne Johnson, maybe that. Makes you feel like your arms all swolled up. So there's going to be quite a few steps to getting this loading chute done. Once we get the boards on the side, I also want to make a gravel ramp here at the end. And we'll probably have to do some kind of little bit of a retaining wall. And I want the ramp to come up to about the height of the trailer floor. So then I've got 2 metal gates to hang. One is going to go across this opening right here to this crowding area that we have here on the side of the barn. And then there'll be another one that goes right here at the entrance of the loading chute. And then I also have a wooden gate that I need to make that's going to go down here in this opening. And as we push the livestock down this crowding pin, if we open up that gate, the sheep will be able to go through and get away from us, and then we can actually divide the cattle and the sheep and work them separately. So we bought all the lumber for this project probably 2 or 3 months ago. So I just finally drug it out and had to look to see what we actually bought. And luckily, I think I have everything I need. So this very last part of the loading chute is actually going downhill. So I gotta try to figure out what the right angle is to cut it. All right, I got the angle marked. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, I just finished up. I got all the boards on the loading chute and I'm pretty happy with the way that this turned out. So it just slightly gets narrower as it gets to the end here. And then of course you're gonna turn and go right in the trailer. So the next thing I wanna do is build a gravel ramp that leads up to the livestock trailer. And it's not gonna be very tall. We're just shooting for like 10 to 11 inches tall, just to get up to almost the height of the floor. So I've got some 6x6 timbers. I'm going to put that here at the end, and then on the sides, we're going to kind of use that as a little bit of a retaining wall to help hold in the gravel. Well, I knew I couldn't get away with a completely perfect day. I hit the post with the bucket, not paying attention, caught it with the side, and I'll show it to you. It's not horrible, it just kind of busted, you know, the surface off of it. I mean, this piece was right there. So it doesn't look real pretty. Obviously, this was kind of a weak spot anyway, but something was bound to happen. At least it was just this small little piece, wasn't nothing major. I think I'm just going to accept it. So I have some 3/4 inch rebar left over from our house build, and I think I'm going to cut that into 18 to 24 inch lengths so that I can anchor the timbers in the ground, and that should keep them from moving with the weight of the gravel pushing against them. And I think that's going to work good enough for what we're doing. So now we got the front and the sides closed in, we can go ahead and grab the tractor and get a scoop of gravel. So this isn't much of a ramp here. I think it came out to be right around 11 inches above grade, but that will make it easier for the livestock to get in and out of the trailer. And I mean, anything you can do to make it easier to load and unload, I think is definitely, you know, worth the effort. And this was not too much extra effort. So today I'm going to work on the gates that are on the other end of the loading chute. And I'm going to start off with this small gate down here that we're going to use to sort out the sheep. And I think I can just use these scrap pieces of 2x8 to build it. So I ended up buying some 8-inch gate hinges for the door. It's definitely going to be stout, I hope at least. All right, just measuring diagonal, and we're within a 1/16 of an inch. It's good enough for me. So since the back of this gate is resting against a round post, this corner here is gonna hit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take this back edge off with a saw, and hopefully it'll fit in there just fine. All right, let's see if our gate's gonna fit in here. Yes, it does. It's got just enough here that it hits the post and stops, but yet it can swing in all the way. I think that will work. Oh yeah, that's gonna work perfect. So the next thing to do is to mount a board on this post, and that is going to trim this out so it's the same thickness as the door, and then I can mount a gate latch across the gate and the post. So to make our gate latch, I bought a 12-inch cane bolt, and I think this is going to make it pretty secure. So this right side, it determines how far it can go backwards, and then forwards, of course, it can only go so far. And what I'm going to build the latch out of is this simple like gate handle or drawer handle. All right, there you go. So now I just need to cover this hole up in the door. It's probably a little big. And this 2x8 just happens to fit in here like perfectly. It's almost like it was made for it. Well, I've got one problem here I need to address. When you open the door, it's actually too tall right here. And I meant to put a board across here so that this was shorter, and I forgot to do that. So I'll probably have to cut this board off, and then we'll fit one in here. All right, I think I'm done on the sheep gate now. I think it turned out pretty good. We did leave a little bit of a gap there, and that's for a reason. You'll see that in a minute. So now you can see the reason I left that gap there is so that you can reach through and grab the chain and be able to latch it back to itself. Now the gate's secure. And you can see the sheep gate still opens perfectly. So I've only got one more gate to hang. It goes between this post and that post. And that's the one we put in concrete, so it's actually going to hinge from this one. And it's going to close off this end, and that creates like a bunching pin right here. And on these gates, I've been putting these hog panels welded to them to help keep any of the sheep or small lambs from going through. And the gate I have to install doesn't have the stock panel on here yet, so I need to take this back and get it welded on. It's the next day now, the paint's dry, I've got the gate laid out where I want it. I just need to drill the hinge pins and get those in, get the gate hung. And then on this other end, we're gonna have to do a little bit of work to get this gate to latch and get the other gate to latch, because we got a little bit of a gap there and we need to get that filled in. Oh, look how close that is. All right, the gate's hung, and I mounted it this way so it could actually swing backwards and lay against this loading chute. Because there may be times where we actually want to leave this open. I definitely don't want it to stick out where the animals can rub on it and bend it up. So this is what I was going for. Now the trick is to try to get it to latch. So at this post where these gates meet, you can see we've got a little bit of a gap here. It's a little too big. And then on this side, we've got a little bit bigger of a gap here. We're just gonna build this corner out enough where we can get a couple gate latches on here. Well, we're down to our last two boards. We may have to use some scrap pieces to get this finished up. These scraps fit on here. Oh my goodness, they're enough. Be close. So I went back to the workshop to try to find something to attach this to the post, and this is the only thing I found that's long enough. This is an 8-inch pole barn nail. It's a ring shank nail, and this is going to go through that wood. It's going to have like 6 inches in the post. It almost go all the way through the post. This is plenty long enough, but that's all I got. So these are definitely going to make my arms swell up trying to hammer these things in. Oh, these things are huge. Holy cow. I'll wear you out. All right, I got both gate latches mounted. Now this one actually was still a little bit short. I had to put a couple thick washers behind it to get it spaced out another 1/4 inch to get this to work. And it works fine. The other one works fine. And I think that completes the loading chute project. So besides the loading chute, you know, hanging this gate, we've also completed the bunching pin that leads into the chute. So, you know, you really got to have one for the other one to work. And I think this is going to work out good. I mean, we won't know until we finally actually load steers or load animals. And I'm not sure when that's actually going to be. It may be like next spring. So we'll just have to play it by ear. But I'm glad it's done. I'm sure this is going to be really handy in the future. So I do have one thing left that I need to come back and do. And that is I'm going to put stock panels on the sides and cover up like these bottom 3 slats, and that'll keep the small animals from getting into the chute and getting out. Now I know I've got several comments about people saying I should board this up completely and close it, close it off so the animals can't actually see through it, because if they can see an escape route, then they may go and jump over the fence. So I did leave enough gap here that another 2x8 will fit inside of here, so I can do that later. Of course, I used up every bit of lumber on this project that I bought. It came out perfect, but I can add additional boards and close this all in later on if that ends up being a problem. So now that we got this bunching area complete and we're secure on that end, the next step in the corral project is to cut out a doorway in the side of the barn by this back corner. And that way when we work the animals down here, we can actually work them into the barn. You know, we could work them down the loading chute, or we can work them into the barn where our handling equipment is going to be. And then we're going to try to build some sheep handling equipment in there as well. So then we could work them in there. We could handle sheep, or we could handle the cattle. So another comment I've got is that I need to put a fence, you know, down the wall here so that the livestock and the cattle can't damage this siding and bend it all up. And this siding isn't in the greatest shape anyway. You won't be able to see it, but there's a spot where I've patched it. I actually ran the bucket of the tractor through this. It was probably one of the first couple days I had that old Allis Chalmers, and needless to say, I wasn't very smooth with it, and I damaged this. But most of this siding is losing its paint. It's not in the greatest shape. I'm really not that worried about it, but I can add posts and stuff later on if I need to. And on this side of the barn, the next thing to do is to build a fence off of this post and go over there to our new fence brace. So it's evening time now, and I've got this area opened up for the livestock to come in. I ended up putting a temporary electric wire across over there, and that'll keep them in until I can get finish the fencing on that side. But I think it's nice to be able to let the animals get out here with these pine trees. I think this is like a nice shady spot during these hot summer months, and I'm sure that they're gonna enjoy it. So I ended up working on this loading chute 3 different days, and they were probably half days, but it ended up taking me longer than what I originally thought it would. But I was also able to kind of take my time and build it the way I thought it should be built. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I know some people are going to tell me I need to change it or I need to do things differently, but personally, I think I'm very happy with the way it all turned out. And I am also very happy that it is evening time and it is a lot cooler to be out here. These last few days out here in the sun working on this actually kind of make it fairly miserable when you're doing these type of projects. And this evening time, like right now, is pretty much, I think it's like my favorite part of the day, for sure. But I will probably take a break from this project, and I need to continue on with some fencing out here. We're about to get to the very end of the field as we're out here grazing these warm season annuals. We probably only got like 1 paddock left, and we're gonna be at the end. So I really need to get out there and put the fence along the far side of that field and get it put up. But that's probably what I'm gonna move on to next, is I'm gonna go back to the fencing project. I've definitely taken a break from it, and for like the last month, and I need to get back to it. That's like the #1 year goal, is to get this all fenced in. And there's only like 1/3 of it left, so I'm pretty close. But anyway, I think that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.